we're going to talk about something different. And yes, currency is different. And so you could trade the British, the Euro, the Japanese, the Chinese. You could trade against the CAD. But I don't want to talk about Forex today. I want to talk about something else that you can buy and hold until something happens. And basically it's going to be nothing, nothing, nothing. And then one time, this is only going to happen one time. It's a one-time event. The Iraqi Dinar is going to go from nothing to something. Now, what the something is, we'll talk about when we have some ideas. But basically, Iraqi Dinar has been around since 1960, 59, 60, and it went up to $2.80, and it bounced around in that time frame between $3 and $4, as you can see here. And then sanctions came. Sanctions came in 1991 when Saddam Hussein decided to go into Kuwait. And so you can see here's the price, and this is from 1960, and it just kind of bounces around between this $3 range to this $4 range. It doesn't even go down when the sanctions are put in 1991. Right here in 1991, price doesn't go down. It stays up in this back and forth until we see right here in 2001 when price went down. So what happened? Saddam Hussein, he becomes, basically president of Iraq back in the 70s, 79, I believe, right here. He becomes in charge. Problem is this guy's killing, 200,000 people in his country right here. It's estimated that he killed 200,000 people. He also tries to, go into Kuwait. He does, not successfully. That's where the Gulf War comes in and we take place. He's also trying to go into, Israel. And you can see Tony Blair here, who's part of the EU. Basically, they come up and they say, well, he's got mass weapons, and they go into war against him. So right here you have basically the New York Times has this article, and it's talking about what had happened because of Saddam Hussein and because of the U.S. going to war and what happened with the Kuwait money. So Kuwait dropped down to just about 5 cents right here. You can see that. Basically because Saddam Hussein was using money for terrorism and he was trying to control the Kuwait money. And so we put sanctions on that Kuwait money so he couldn't use that money for any funding his war. But you can see here in February of 1991, Iraq was expelled from Kuwait. And a month later, the banks revalued their currency back to $3.47. So it went from 5 cents to $3.47. And this is what I want to talk about today with the Iraqi Dinar. If this happened in Kuwait because a bad leader came in, started a war, tried to take over control, become a dictator of this country, the only reason that the money went down to 5 cents was because they were trying to stop that from happening, not letting him use the source of money. So now let's look at where the dinar is right now. So you can see in 2001, we did the same exact thing, but here's the weird thing that I don't understand. In 2001, 2003, the dinar came down to basically zero, where it is right now. But then in 2003, just for 2 short years, it bounced back up to $3. And where was this? This was at the exact same time after Saddam Hussein got carried away and basically had to go to court for the actions that he did. And then what happened? The sanctions went back down again and have been on, so basically what has happened is the value of the dinar went back down again. And this is where I think when President Bush said that we wouldn't have to pay anything for the war. I believe that we had dinar, and once they got Saddam Hussein out of the way, they revalued the money so that way they could take that money off of the table to pay or fund for either the past or the future. And then they put the sanctions back on. I mean, there's no other realistic reason of why they did it, but they did. There's an obvious move here. You can see 2 years down, nothing. Saddam, who's a free man. And then it goes up. Saddam is under the captivity of prison. He can't go anywhere. And so then it goes back down, and it's been back down all the way since 2006. Basically, I've been in this investment personally for 10 years, but all the way to 2020, right now, the market has shown that the dinar is pennies on the dollar compared to what it was. Bum, bum, bum. Which is a little surprise to me because the UN lifted the sanctions in 2010. It actually says here, it says, today, Iraq will be liberated from all of the sanctions caused by the wars and misdeeds of the former regime. So basically, now that the former regime's out of the way, they have a new government, they have new legislation, the UN came in and said, we're going to remove these sanctions. The U.S. did the same thing, said they were going to remove these sanctions. So now they've got their own banking, and now they're working with the IMF to bring their money back to market. Like, what would you do if you had a dictator in your country using your money, controlling everything about it? You have millions and hundreds of millions of people, not hundreds of millions, you don't have hundreds of millions. Cut. You have millions of people who basically are in poverty because of what this man did. Would you not try to bring back to market the value of your dollar? Would you not do anything and everything humanly possible, all the rules, laws, legislation, so that you could bring it back? And just to think about what the sanctions that were put on Iraq was this whole list. You can go to U.S. Department of Treasury, and you can see this list of sanctions here. And basically, Iraq was fully committed to having to fulfill all of these different sanctions. And then you see the UN has lifted these sanctions. So, but before all that happened, Bush put into order. And this is Executive Order 13303. And also you have another order here by the number of 39. And these two statements say that you are able to buy Iraqi dinar. You are able to purchase and hold that value. And it's questionable, like, why do people do the things they do? And why would Bush make it so that it was a law that you could buy dinar? You can't buy North Korea money. You can't buy Venezuela money. You can't buy Cuba money. You can't buy Iran money, right? So why? Because it's not part of the world exchange. But here you can buy dinar because there was an executive order. And why would Bush do that? And I believe because he knew the value was going to come back up once basically Iraq fulfilled the sanctions, once they got their own government back on, once they become a free nation, which they all are, all of these things right now. And so here's the great thing about it. You can just basically go on to google.com and you can write buy dinar currency. You get a big list here. You've got Dinar Exchange, Safe Dinar, OFX. You have Currency Liquidators. You've got Treasury Vault. All of these you can go on. I don't make any money. I don't care which one you go on. But you can go on and you can buy dinar. And when you click on that, they've got these little specials, it's 500, 1,000, 1,500. You can go into the section and you can say, I just want $250, select 10, and you get the uncirculated currency. It costs you $253. So you get $250,000 for $253. All right, so what that means for you is you will have the hard currency bills of Iraq, and those bills will come out to $250,000 Iraqi dinar. You paid $253 for that. If it goes back to $3, that would then make those $250,000 in currency bills that you have $750,000. I know it seems incredible, it seems unlikely, it seems unrealistic, it seems all of these things, but think about back to where we talked about that the Kuwait was at 5 cents and it went all the way back to 347. Those are the same exact terms that we're talking about right now. The dinar at pennies on the dollar could go back up to $3.47. Again, you think about how much oil they have. Think about what they can do with that nation as far as the oil industry. Let's look. China invests in Iraq. How much do they give? They give $30 billion in 2018. Now listen, China, why are they giving $30 billion to Iraq? Is it just because of they're going to get some oil? Or is it because they got some dinar out of this? What about the EU? They've also invested and they've gotten dinar out of this. What about Trump? Trump said it the other day. He did an interview and Trump says, we have $35 billion in Iraq dinar. And my question is today, why do we have $35 billion in dinar if it's a worthless asset? Why would we put this in the Federal Reserve? Why would we put it under lock and key? If this is worthless, then why do we have so much of it? And I think they know they're going to revalue just like they did in Kuwait. So my question is today, don't spend all of your money, your house money, everything like that, but what could you put in that you could have this as an investment? What are the chances? We play the lottery for $1. This is $250 minimum. Can you do that? Don't do $10,000 if you don't have $10,000. But does this seem like a good investment to you? Keep on looking. Keep on searching.